Welcome to Amazon Web Services training. So here um, we are going to discuss about the Amazon Web Services and the advantage of the cloud computing and why nowadays this cloud computing is emerged and the technologies and the new transformation and why nowadays cloud computing is more popular and what is the exact difference between the on-premise hosting and the cloud hosting. So let me give you some introduction about the cloud computing, the AWS cloud computing, and then we will discuss about the types of the models. Then we will start with the AWS and we'll have a little bit overview here. So here, before jumping into the cloud computing, so let's try to understand the on-premise structure and what are the challenges we have in the on-premise infrastructure and why we are moving the services to the cloud. So, so we will discuss with the help of a business case scenario. Let me take an example of an organization where they are running the application services on their office. So let's take an example of the Amazon e-cart website. So here let's take an example of the Flipkart. These are the online e-cart website where we can go and purchase the groceries and we can make shopping and we can purchase mobiles, laptops online. So this is a retail vendor, so we can buy groceries and everything is online. So assume that if that website is hosted in their own office and they would like to introduce some offers during the festival season, and if it is in the US, so like Thanksgiving Day is a very good festival for that. Most of the online companies offer more offers to their customers. So in such days, if they wanted to have, they may see the website may see the more number of visitors, the customer visitors to the website. And during that time, the customers may experience the huge load for their web application. So to handle that load, customers have to purchase more servers and they have to configure the load balancing for that usage of that period. So once that period is completed, that festive season is completed, then again there will be a normal traffic to that website. So similarly, like per year, the online retail company offers certain kind of discounts. Assume that yearly, quarterly once, and yearly 4 to 5 times. To handle that load in such periods, so they have to have their infrastructure and running 24 by 7, 365 days. They have to maintain, but they're not using the accurately 365 days. But they are investing on the hardware infrastructure because they have to maintain the load during that period. But they're not using 24 by 7, 365 days. But the company is investing to fulfill that requirement to handle the load during that such period of time. So this is one of the challenge the companies are facing. And the another business case is there is a customer, they are hosting some application on the server. In day, we are seeing the high CPU utilization for that server. There is no specific time customers are getting because we don't know, even though the application company also they don't know what time the customer users are running some reports, pulling some information. At that time, there is a huge load on the server and they are seeing in different times. There is no specific time. They are getting in different times. So they are facing this challenge, so that they have to provide the stability, and they have to provide the good performance for this web application. So here, so if the company wanted to have the good performance, then it's a challenge for them. Again, they have to keep the another server, they have to maintain, and they have to enable the load balancing, or else they have to configure a high-end configuration server, and they have to migrate the data whatever they have in the other server, and they have to move to this new server. So they are the two cases will work in on-premise. To handle the load, they have to keep two servers, or else they have to upgrade the existing server. But it is companies paying for the normal usage as well. Even why? Because they don't know when the service is going, the server is going to occupy the high CPU and memory at the time customer is facing the performance issues with the application. So these are two examples in real time the companies, the organizations are facing to provide a better performance for their applications. Now we see so how we are avoiding that using the cloud computing. In on-premise, the company is investing the money on this additional infrastructure to provide a stability and good performance. So here, now let me talk about the cloud computing. So cloud computing is nothing but a remote data center. So even in organizations, we have the data center already. The cloud computing refers to the Amazon cloud computing refers by the definition. It is also a data center which is maintained by the Amazon. Okay, then we also having the data center. Then why we have to move our services to the AWS Cloud? Why I have to keep my services in AWS Cloud? Now I will compare you. So we discussed the two business cases, right? So one is the high performance to handle the peak loads. Okay. Now let's try to compare. So in on-premise we have those challenges, whereas in the cloud, if customer is offering some discounts during the festive season, so in the cloud you no need to maintain these additional servers running 365 days. You don't need to run. So whereas you can launch the additional servers in the cloud and maintain during the period of time, and the load balancer will in AWS we will have the load balancer that will take care of distributing the traffic. Assume that if there are 3 servers we allocated, so 3 servers also occupying the high CPU utilization, then the 4th server will be launched automatically, and the 5th server will be launched automatically. If CPU is reaching 80%, there we will write some conditions because where cloud refers to the infrastructure as a code, so everything you can automate. So in the cloud, we will write such kind of schedules. If CPU hits above 70%, then launch another machine, create another machine, and route the traffic to the two systems. And if that is also exceeding the high CPU, then launch another machine and route the traffic to enable the load balancing between all the servers. Then what? Okay, it is creating. Then what about the deleting? So if the machine CPU percent is below 60 and it is running more than 30 minutes, so that there is no time fixed time constraint, so that we have to define in the policies. So now I will define, like, if the server CPU utilization below 60%, more than 30 minutes, then decommission that servers. So initially we will maintain only 3 servers or 4 servers. On top of that, if 4 servers are occupying high CPU, then we will launch the servers continuously up to some uh, order. So in the same order, that will be decommissioned automatically, so that the companies are paying only for that usage and not for the 365 days. Not for the 365 days. So companies are saving their money because they're not purchasing the hardware. Okay, so they're saving the capital investment. And if you purchase it at server, it occupies some data center space. Then you require the power consumption for the 365 days, and that requires 365 days AC power AC cooling, and you have to maintain the bandwidth stability for that servers. You need to have the 24/7 365 days internet connectivity. So you're investing on all these expenses if you maintain the same servers and the same application in your organization. But whereas you in the cloud, so we have this auto scaling functionality, load balance functionality that automatically created a new instances, and automatically this will be decommissioned. Those kind of rules we can write. That is elasticity, the flexibility AWS is providing. And also, and I will give you another on-premise scenario. So we purchased the servers long back, and those hardware become a legacy, and you are experiencing the performance issues with applications which are configured on the server. So now what next? Again, you have to buy new hardware infrastructure, then you have to migrate this to the new system. It's kind of a migration project. There is no on demand. There is no on demand. So in previous scenario, we have seen that pay as you go pricing. So only customer will pay only during the period of the time. So they are not maintaining the 365 days. Only the period of time, pay as you go. And the second business case is like legacy hardware. Now you have to update immediate performance issues. Then you have to go through the purchasing cycle in your company, and you have to get the relevant approvals. Then the supplier have to deliver the hardware. Then you have to migrate. You have to configure that server. Then you have to migrate all these applications to the new server. It's kind of a migration project from one server to another server, and you require some outages, application outages. Okay, now let me compare with the cloud. So if you configure the same server in the cloud, the AWS is responsible for the entire hardware. So we don't have any access to the hardware. So if AWS feels that the hardware is retiring, then it will send you a notification that your hardware is going to retire. Kindly stop your server from the AWS console and start the AWS instance again. So then automatically the server will be switched to the new hardware. Only we are paying for the server, but additionally, what are the benefits we are getting? The server will be moved to the new hardware. That means your application always having the good hardware. So we may not see any legacy hardware and performance issues. We can avoid these hardware related performance issues. If you feel that the existing hosted hardware is having some issues in the AWS, you can simply stop the machine from the AWS console and start it. Then it will switch to new hardware. So you can avoid these performance issues. They're not charging for that. It is as part of the EC2 instance management. You don't need to pay for that. So this is what the introduction to the cloud computing and AWS. This is the comparing. In our next session, we will discuss about the cloud deployment models, basic concepts, and AWS, how we are deploying the AWS environment, and how we are servicing these to the customers. So let's join in the another session. So hope you guys are able to understand the difference between the on-premise and cloud. Let me summarize that. On-premise, you have some challenges, and in the AWS, what are the benefits we are getting if you move all the services to the cloud? So this is the difference between the on-premise and the AWS cloud. Okay, let's join in the second another session. So there we will discuss about the basic concepts of the AWS cloud computing and the deployment models and the service models. Thank you.